Hey, good morning to everybody. Happy Friday. It's Daryl here. It is bright and freaking early, man. It's 5 a.m. here in Connecticut on the East Coast. Yes, I am a little late this morning. I'm dressed different. I'm going to talk about all this probably within the next week once the dust settles. I've talked about how over the last 2 weeks, there's been things going on that just not because of anything I did or didn't do. I've talked about this like in recovery. There's times when bad things or troubling things happen, things that you have no control over that you didn't bring on yourself, but and this has been a couple weeks, and I'm going to talk about it more once the dust settles today. I have to kind of go and clear up a few things this morning. I actually have a doctor's appointment this morning too. I talked about my car. My car's fixed finally. I'm going to get my hair cut today finally. So it's just been a rough 2 weeks, and hopefully things will be resolved today, and I could tell you guys everything that went on because I'm going to talk about this, and it's important that I talk about it for other people too, because I think there's other people that would need to know about the situation. Anyway, this morning I came across a story I want to talk about, and it's got to do with Britney Spears. Like I said, I have so much on my mind, and out of all things, today's Friday the 13th. On top of everything else, everything's kind of coming to a head today, and I just don't know which. I have no control over the situation. I didn't have any control over what happened, and now I'm just hoping for the best. But I came across the story this morning, and I was going to wait to do a video, like I said, because I really need, I have so much anxiety at this point that I really didn't feel I could do a video this morning, which is unusual for me. But I came across this story about Britney Spears and her father, and there's something that came to mind. I really wanted to talk about that briefly this morning. Okay, so Britney Spears is putting out a book, The Woman in Me, and there's an article down below. TMZ was saying how Jamie Spears, her father, reportedly said that he wasn't going to read the book. And there's still this animosity between father and daughter, between Britney Spears and her father. And there's something else I want to talk about too, because this is a recording. If you're a big Britney Spears fan, you probably already heard this, but I'll put the link down below because this is the first time I heard her. She was testifying at a 2021 hearing about her conservatorship, and I never heard this. And I'm going to talk just briefly about some of the stuff she talked about. Like I said, the newest article is about Jamie Spears saying that he was not going to read her book. And then there's reports that he has problems with alcohol and the way he treated her and all this, and there's this animosity. And there'll be a link down below to the 2021, and Britney Spears testifies in this. And like I said, if you're a Britney Spears fan, you probably already heard this, but it kind of amazed me. She talked about how during this period of the conservatorship, she had 6 different nurses in her house. And it sounds like she's telling the truth. Like I said, I could usually tell, from my years of experience being dishonest. And it sounds like, she's relating what happened to her truthfully to me. That's what it sounds like. And she says there was 6 different nurses in her home, and they wouldn't let her get in her car and go anywhere. She said she was tested. I assume she was drug tested over the holidays. She said a lady came into her. This is like she was locked down in her house, is what she's saying, back in 2021, and with her father in control of all of this. So she's still very angry about this. And she said a lady came in for 4 hours a day and did a psych test on her, 4 hours every day. And she said the lady told her that she failed the test. This kind of reminds me, I didn't have any psych tests or anything, but it kind of reminds me of what I'm going through today. It's a situation that I have no control over. And it creates so much anxiety because you can only do so much to straighten out a situation. And then it's up to fate and other people. You're what's going to happen. Anyway, she failed the test, and so then they told her she was going to have to pay $60,000 a month for rehab. As I was listening to Britney Spears talk about this, it sounds so real, so surreal, and it makes me wonder if fame and fortune really is all that a great thing to have, because the stuff she complains about, that's coming up. I'm coming up to that. She says, she'd have to pay $60,000 a month. Which it sounds like she's just being milked. Like people are just using her for her money, her family's money. And then she says, this is interesting. She says this. She says, Miley Cyrus can smoke a joint on the stage at the VMAs, but nothing ever happens to her. She says, and then she complains about this generation. I assume she's talking about the millennials, I guess. I'm not sure. She's probably a Gen Xer like me, Britney Spears. I never thought about that. But she complains about Miley Cyrus, which I think is kind of petty, really. Comparing yourself, like it's somebody else's treatment to how the way you're being treated, really doesn't change your issues. When you say somebody, oh, look at somebody else, look what they're going now. It really doesn't have, it's kind of, to me, it's kind of petty. But she talks about her precious body, the way her father, used her, and how she made money, and he basically kept her locked up and made her go through all this. She was basically like possession almost, like a performing puppy or something, almost. This is the interesting part. She talks about, she's complaining back in 2020, 2021, how she says, because COVID was going on then, she complains how she couldn't have her hair done for like a year. She couldn't have any acupuncture or any massages for a whole year. Oh my gosh, imagine that. I've never had a massage or acupuncture in my life, nor do I ever want to. That's one of the things I thought about. How fame and fortune bring you to this other level. And I don't think you really have more money. You have more money, but you just create more expenses and more trouble for yourself on top. You know what I mean? I think I don't, as the money goes up, all the aggravation and everything else and the pettiness go up too. And then like expecting acupuncture and massages. She talks about the maids. She actually complains about, this is Britney Spears testifying again, complaining about the maids, that the maids had their nails done. She said, I think she says there was 6 maids, or I think that's what she said, no, she's talking about 6 different nurses. This is something else. She says the maids all had their nails done differently. So she's very upset about this. With the maids, she has maids taking care of her in a mansion. And she's upset because the maids are getting their nails done. And poor her, she can't. And I wonder if she could hear herself. Her house, her mansion is being tended to by maids and a whole team of people. And she's complaining because they got their nails. You know what I mean? It's surreal. It's just weird. Like I said, the links for this will be down below. And this is what I wanted to say. The animosity between these two. I mean, obviously, I think, I don't know what's going on. Britney said, I think her father, Jamie, definitely, it would appear that his love of money kind of came before the love of his daughter, I guess. I don't know him or her, but that's what it kind of looks like. But this is what I wanted to say. I remember back when I was in my late teens. And I lost my father when I was 9 years old to terminal brain cancer. And I was in my teens. And, my father had been gone for about 8 or 9 years. And one of my best friends, one of the friends I hung around with, he would always, butt heads with his father. He was in his late teens, and there was constant, back and forth. And his father seemed like a pretty good guy. He drove a Harley, and he was a hardworking dude and everything. But he, and I saw what a pain my buddy was. The way he took things from the house, he stole and stuff, and he said this to me. He says, Daryl, you're lucky that your father died. He actually said that to me. And it was interesting the way I reacted. I didn't get angry at all. It's weird because it didn't even surprise me when he said this. And I actually felt bad for him. And I told him this. I said, dude, one day you are going to, believe me, you're going to regret saying that. There's going to come a day and you're going to remember saying that to me, and you're going to wish to God you didn't say that, and I don't know. I haven't talked to him in years. I don't know if that came true or not, but and it reminded me of Audrey, my soulmate that passed away. I had no idea. We had our ins and outs, and I kind of backed away from getting married, and I look back at the way I treated her. 1 minute she was there, she was moving to Florida. I planned on moving down to Florida with her. And then a month later, she was gone. And now I'm just left with all this guilt. Every day, every single day, still 2 years later, I think about the things I said to her, the way I ignored her. When she moved out, we were living together, and she moved out. She said, unless we get married, I'm moving out. And I said goodbye. And I look back and I wish to God I wasn't such an idiot. You know, 'cause now it's 2 years later, and then that's when after she passed away, her sister found her diary from when she was like 8 or 9 years old, and she talked about me when she was 8 or 9 years old in that diary, how she loved her boyfriend Daryl, you know, and I'm like, oh my God, she was my soulmate, and look, you know, and every day I live with this guilt. What I'm saying here is, it's best to, you know, even though Jamie, her father, Jamie Spears, has been probably, you know, it looks like he's been a total jerk. You know, it's best just to make peace with this, because sooner or later, one of these people is going to leave this earth. You know, your time here is short, believe me. And this is, you know, I live with this guilt, this baggage every single day now. It's best just to put this to rest. You know, people make mistakes. People have flaws. Jamie Spears has flaws, but it's best just to put it to rest and just make peace, because the day's going to come very quickly where he's not going to be there anymore. And despite all his faults, I think she's going to miss him, and vice versa if it's the other way around. Just some thoughts. I hope this was a good video. Like I said, I got a lot on my mind, and I'm going to share that with you, I promise, next week once the dust settles. We'll see how it goes today. You guys have a good Friday.